Testing goo. Tingu tingu. Okay. Good status. Good diff. Looks about right. Good commit. Edit. What do you even add? God. Edit model to show full rest when image preview gets clicked on action. Edit and computed features values collapsed by default. Edit list show other images in the same tweet as the current selection. Keep push. Okay. Hello G-Talk, hello George. We are making a lot of crazy progress on the viewer thingy, on the what's that called? This thingy. So again, there might be not safe for work stuff on screen, so I will not be zooming in too much. But like, there's been a lot of progress because the biggest issue here currently is that there's a lot of overlapping, as you can see. There's a lot of overlapping, so we added more modes. So you used to be this smart cluster thing, which wasn't very smart. It does cluster it, but yeah, it doesn't really expand out, you see, per se. We can change it to unpacked mode. So unpacked mode takes a bit of processing, but it's able to blow up the thing here, so that you can view everything in a more sort of stretch way, but it sort of maintains the distribution, right? It used to be an L shape, so it maintains the L shape, but it's just a little bit blown up here, so you can see everything side by side. I had to figure out the math for this, like idea for this one, because otherwise it doesn't let you it doesn't expand really that well just by the AI stuff. You can lock it to a grid here so that we don't have the gaps, so that if you zoom in, you can look at the stuff a little bit clearly and compare stuff. So for example, over here there's a lot more blue stuff, right? So you can compare all the blue pieces. But then this is still kind of awkward because you get a lot of these gaps here. So there is another mode here, which is the square mode. And this just condenses everything into a square and tries to keep the relationship. It's going to mess the relationship up just because it's trying to squish it into a shape that it wasn't before. So it makes sense that it kind of messes it up, but at least it tries to maintain it. There's also options to, for example, let's say this one here. I don't know if there's anything explicit on screen here. I don't see any, but let's say this piece here, we can favorite it. And then at the bottom here, we have a favorites list. We can also hide it so that it's no longer shown over here. Like right now it's gone. Actually, I noticed a bit of lag there, which is not good because it means that there's recomputing something. So it's not the best. Yeah, I don't know why is it repointing us here. It should stay positioned in here. It is kind of here. Anyway, you can hide all the invisible stuff. See, this is a problem. So it's not just toggling it on and off. It's actually redoing some math. So I'm gonna have to fix that. But you can favorite stuff. You can, let me unhide it. So it's gonna apparently redo the math here. It's just a bug. That's a good question, George. I'm not 100% sure because a lot of this is handled by AI. Like 99% of everything is basically coded up by AI. I'm just kind of holding it in place to try to tell it that I want it to do this. I want you to do this. And then I don't think this makes sense. Then I'll tell it the design to use, and then it would design. It would do the actual coding stuff. Yeah, okay, this one is a bit sus. Let me check the grid lock actually. The grid lock should not have this, I think. Let's say I take this piece here. And then I'm gonna hide it. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. You see that shift? That's not supposed to happen. And then I can't hide it. But the original idea was to just so you can hide, I can hide explicit stuff if I'm doing it on stream, right? It saves the setting and stuff. I can favorite it, go somewhere else, or I can be looking at stuff here, then I can click on this and it will zoom in over. Oh, it doesn't work. So the math is not really mathing out for this. If we go back to the default setting, I think it should be able to work still. I hope it can work, because I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it doesn't work here. It will work in the raw though, I think. Yeah, it works in the raw, so it still points you over. So it looks like there's a bit of a bug here. I didn't test it that well. Because I'm moving really fast. There's a hidden thing, and then there's a hidden thing. You can unhide it. You can unfavorite it. And then if the piece that we open up has multiple pieces at the same time, it will open up all of the pieces in this list so you can see everything from the same tweet. Right? And of course, you can click on this and go to the original post. That's the setup for this. And some other things are all behind the scenes, because all of these things, if you look at each piece here, by the way, there's this computer features values. This is the numbers that's being crunched. So depending on the numbers that you select here, you can apply the axes, and then you will see that the distribution is a bit different. So I can swap out to be like something else. The heuristic that's being done here, the math being done here, is kind of random. I just ask it for some ideas. They don't really seem to work very well, but these are the computer numbers. And because there are so many computer numbers, each one has its own script, right? And the script might take a while. There's like over 4,500 images here. So there's a lot of backupping. There's a lot of automatic checkpointing that's resumed from where you crashed. There is reusing data wherever you can reuse, so that we don't spend time computing the same values that we computed before. The whole pipeline in the back is pretty robust. There's a lot of stuff that is reusing as much as possible to make the process as fast as possible. I'm still slowly sort of figuring out some of the thing. This is the math here, by the way. I'm guessing this place is the densest. I'm not really sure why I chose here, though. I need to review the math. But you can see these rays here. This was my idea to try to get it to expand a little bit more naturally. Because if you just ask it to expand, wherever there's densest, we have a giant circle. And then the shape here basically kind of gets destroyed. So I want it to be a little bit more follow that original shape. You can see that it tries to keep that original shape as it expands. And that's based on the numbers here. So the idea is that you choose like one of the densest points, and then from there you draw 36 lines in a radial pattern. And then it goes to the furthest position it can go. And then based on that, it computes the distance from that center position to the furthest point. And then this distance here versus the other distance, they'll be normalized and use that as a multiplier to do the expansion. So instead of always expanding in a circle or expanding in a square, it expands in this irregular shape that it originally has. So it tries to keep the sort of intuitiveness of this layout, right? So you can see that this kind of have a bit of pattern to it. Whether if the pattern is useful or not, I'm not 100% sure. But I figure you might as well keep it, right? Because they all kind of have their own sort of pattern. And the pattern, by the way, is just the axis, right? So the x-axis and the y-axis, they are computing specific numbers. And the numbers themselves, oh, this is really risky, by the way, me randomly clicking. I don't know what's going to pop up. But the numbers themselves are converted to a coordinate. And then that coordinate is where it goes. But yeah, anyways, this is pretty interesting. I can hide everything if I want to. I kind of forgot we added that. But yeah, it's interesting. Some of the buttons no longer work, they're deprecated. You can reset the view and stuff. So this is this thing. I'm going slightly overboard at this point. Because you know, we can already start looking for patterns and stuff. I should figure out the math instead of trying to figure out the UI. But the UI is kind of fun, I think. You can see like the app coming together. And in the future, I want to add stuff like I can upload a picture and then it tries to find me something similar based on different features, right? If I upload a piece by artist A and tell it to, hey, can you find me similar pieces with the similar composition? Then maybe it do some like higher level sort of heuristics, like figure out where the characters are standing, what the faces look like, where the faces are positioned, where they're looking at. And maybe we can figure out a way that can actually do analysis into composition automatically. It can be more useful than just looking for art styles, right? Because I don't know if you guys remember, in the past I found a GitHub where if you're drawing animal faces, like animal heads, there's this animal skull that you can turn around in 3D space, and depending on where the skull is pointed to, it will give you photos of a specific animal that you choose that is pointed in the same direction. So it makes finding references super easy. But so if we extrapolate that idea over to our own thing, we can potentially have like actual photos of people's poses and stuff like that. We can pose a mannequin and somehow maybe make something work through feature extraction. Maybe not. I don't know, but it can be kind of a. Is this considered machine learning? It's not technically the same thing, I think, because machine learning has a lot of sort of. I'm not 100% sure about this, by the way, because I don't do machine learning. I don't do data science stuff. But my understanding is that a lot of the more AI models. Let me put it this way. Hang on. Where's my stupid pen? So our ideas are similar in that, let's say you have like an input here, which is your image. Actually, let's just draw an image here. You're going through some kind of black box, some kind of logic here, and coming out with a grouping, right? The output is a grouping. So let's say we have multiple images. We are coming out with group 1, and then we are coming out with group 2. Let's say that we're trying to figure out what the output would be human or not, right? And then group 1 is human, group 2 is not. And then we have our guy here, and then we have our dog over here, right? So the thing that I consider, from my point of view, the way I see it is that both takes some images and creates this output, right? Comes up with some number of like 0 or 1, for example. But the way they do it is different. So the way that we do it is that we are, as me as a human, I will look at the two differences here, and I'll be like, how do I turn this question into a mathematical formula? In the sense that, like, let's say, for example, right? Let's say we have a logic that says find skeleton or something. And then let's say this find skeleton function is able to look at your image, and then it's going to tell you, hey, you have a skeleton like this, or you have a skeleton like this. It's going to be able to look at the image and look at the person inside, the thing that's inside, and come out with a stick figure. Let's say this is literally the stick figure that it outputs. Then whatever math that happens here, for example, it could be that it's trying to... Actually, maybe this is not a really good example, because this kind of requires a little bit of machine learning on this side. Is there a better example? Like a simpler example, I think. I think this is not a good example. This one will require this one requires a little bit more machine learning, at least at my knowledge level, because you do have to be able to figure out what is considered human, what is a face, what is a body, what is an arm. And that is primarily sort of optical, like, what's that thing called? Computer vision. And that one is heavily sort of let's swap this out. Right? Let's swap this out for now. We're gonna not use this. And I'm not gonna use this. Let's say red or blue. Let's just do red or blue. So there's like blue people, and then there's like red people. Like this. The difference is that for us, right now, we are not hand-waving this thing. This thing is not a magic box. We are actually, say, for example, count pixel. And then it's going to tell you R pixel equals to XXX amount, and then blue pixel is equals to YY amount. And then we take this, and then we make a decision and say that, hey, if XX... Let's use colors here. If XX over XX plus YY is larger than some ZZ%, Uh, oh well, we don't even need that actually. This is a spectrum, right? So we just take this and then we compare it to this scale here. So we will put this at maybe it's 0.5 or something. So if it's less, so this is more than 0.5 and this is less than 0.5. Actually, that means this is backwards, actually. God damn it, this is backwards. But the point here is that we are kind of taking control over the specific logic here. We are very in control of this part. We are like saying, hey, I want to just count and do this, and then find the numbers here. And then depending on the number, we're going to put it on the scale, and then we decide on Trump threshold, and then this is the output that we get. The machine learning stuff is, it kind of sort of, you have a bunch of extra features. So this is the part I'm not 100% sure, but you take the same image, you put through a bunch of different things, and then there's a whole convolution network right in here. I actually don't know how to draw it properly. But anyways, it's like a whole convolution thing, and then at the output, all of these things are taken in to transform back into a single value, and this value is equal to like 0 to 1, some kind of 0 to 1, and then you do this. The difference here, I would think, is that they would take like maybe hundreds of parameters, billions of parameters, and then you compute some things through this really convoluted network that you don't really know exactly how the math, like the math is really simple. It's just the different weight, right? Each value, v1, is multiplied by weight 1, and then it goes to the second layer, and then that's the same thing, third layer, fourth layer, however many layers you have designed it to be. And the difference between the two is that you need a lot of data to train this thing, because you're essentially giving it a thousands of these pictures, sending it through, push it through the thing, find the value at the end, and then tell it, hey, whatever value you got here is actually supposed to be maybe like 0.1. And then it will try to do some weight changes in the thing so that it will compute out to be 0.1. And then you send in the next picture, and then so on and so forth. And then over that whole mass of things, it will arrive at some unknown way of computing in here, like some set of weights in here that would be very good at figuring out if it's red or blue. But the specific logic in here, you're not really in control in that sense, and you need a ton of data over here. This is how I kind of think of like the difference. Ours is very tailor-made in the sense that we are, as artists, yeah, I'm just describing one of the neural network models. I'm not very good at the neural network stuff. I don't really know how they work exactly. I remember taking one course when I was in 4th year of university, and it was one of my worst courses because the guy is like one of those guys who's really smart but can't really teach. I have no idea what he was saying half the time. But essentially, yeah, I think like it's just a difference in approach, right? Because for them, they, number one, need a lot of data, right? Number two, they need a lot of processing power. And then number three, this is still not necessarily, it depends on like, I guess, how many parameters you have and how good your training data set is, right? If you have a lot of parameters here, right? If you have a lot of parameters here, the parameters don't necessarily represent anything in particular, right? But then our concept of machine learning technique, possibly. I don't know where machine learning sort of stops and begins, because I've never done it again. It is possible, right? But in terms of benefits and drawbacks, they need a lot of data and processing power. We don't. We just need our brains and figure out like what it means as artists, as people who look at art, what it means for a picture to be red and what it means for a picture to be blue. We can make that decision ourselves. And we don't even need a single image, for example. We can just decide that, hey, if we're looking for red images, let's look for the pixel ratio. Let's say we count the RGB values, right? Let's say we count RGB value, anything, I believe it's RGB like this, right? Let's say less than 10, anything anything larger than 0. If any pixel meets this criteria, so if equals to this criteria, rather if criteria true equals the red pixel, then we can take this red pixel over total pixel and already compute this value and get our scale. And that's kind of how we get our spectrum right now, actually. Actually, for us, specifically for the red pixel spectrum here. So we have the red light pixel ratio, right? I'm gonna put both on the, as the same axis, so you can see that it's very clearly distributed based on the red pixels. And then you can unpack it. And this takes a while because it needs to do a lot of math in the back. And then it blows it up into this system here. And then you can see like there's a lot more red here versus a lot of the other colors. It doesn't really care what the other colors are, but just this side. And then we can lock it to a grid. And then now we can zoom in and start analyzing all the red pictures. That's kind of the plan. So we can find our references here faster. This is precisely that math right now here. Actually, it'd be kind of cool if in the future, this is kind of like a service, because I think Pinterest and stuff is really good for looking for certain things, but Pinterest is, number one, filled with a lot of AI stuff. Number two, I'm not sure, like it doesn't necessarily give you a lot of control, right? Because you can select a picture and then it will give you something similar, but you don't really know why is it similar. Sometimes it could be the color that's similar, it could be the pose that's similar, it could be it's an anime girl, right? So you don't have a lot of control. But for us, the good thing is that we can do something like if you upload a picture and then you select a specific feature here. Right now it's very basic stuff, just like counting blue, red pixels and stuff like that. But if we manage to say, for example, quantize stuff like a composition, for example. Let's say we have a composition where the character's in the middle like this, right? Let's say the algorithm has a way of figuring out that it's only a singular character in the middle. We can actually put something in, ask it to recommend artists that draw similar stuff, and then it will give you a list of artists that draw compositions like this. And then you can go through it and you'll be like, oh, I like this artist, let me check them out, and then we can go over there. Like, the difference between us and Pinterest potentially would be to have something more controllable like this. And also, we don't abuse like a bunch of images from the same artist. Like, we can have artists opt in, and then they can decide that, hey, these 3 pieces represent my art style the best. They put it in the system. Then whenever someone tries to look for people that they like, they can find an artist that they potentially like. And then we'll have the artist's socials over there and whatnot. And then it's maybe a way for artists to get new viewers. And then for viewers to find new similar artists, essentially, is what that would be. Potentially. Anyways. But you'll need a lot more stuff to go in behind, specifically the sustainability side. The infrastructure required to process so many images and keep the service up is not cheap, I would say. So that too, just now, primarily I'm gonna have it offline, because if I put it online, I'm gonna blow through the throughput limit basically very quickly, very, very fast. The server right now only supports, I forgot what the bandwidth limit was, what the throughput limit was. What was it? Oh, we're sending like back and forth like 4,000 images each time someone connects to it. And I don't think that will be cached locally. I wonder if you can cache like 4,000 images locally. Kinda sus. But anyways, I kind of want to get that UI thing a little bit more solid. Then after that is all the infrastructure is ready. Then the only thing that I need is just some algorithms to find artists that I like, specifically in relation to colors as well as rendering style. And then that part is gonna take a while because that part is mapped then. And then for the main website, I'll have to go back to the drawing board and then figure out some website UI design. Then we can start bringing stuff online. But yeah, very cool. The images are self-hosted. If you guys remember, I was talking about the Twitter scrape before. It's all from that. Actually, the system only works with my own internal data schema. It doesn't work if you just throw in a bunch of images into the system because it requires a lot of metadata from the original. It doesn't require it, but it does right now require it. The code requires that it has a JSON file that accompanies other images, and the JSON file contains a lot of details, like for example the tweet ID, um the metadata that surrounds it, the likes, the likes, the replies, the what other stats are there, the date, the stuff. Everything is in a fixed format, which is kind of a downside right now, because I can't add new images easily. But at the same time, 4,500 already in there. Actually, there's 6,000 files. About like 1,500 of them are not relevant. I'm assuming those are like time-lapse videos or something. But yes, indeed. Also, I thought about the stuffed animal situation. I think I'm not gonna have them off face the screen anymore. We might have one, just have one or two face the screen, but then everybody else kind of is just gonna face us, I think. And then Pink Bean is gonna have to go somewhere else. I think I'm not gonna have Pink Bean here. Oh my god, I need to switch my brain over again. Oh my god, every time I have to switch back and forth. Very cool. Right, I want to take this and expand on this. 1, 2. Since Uni suggested this one, I might as well put more stuff in here, I think. But just add some old consoles in here. Holy shit, what did my other thing go? Broski. How big is this? Let me see. $15 centimeters. Oh. Like this big. We have it overhang a little bit then. Oh, hey, Duvet. Hello. Very moody. I think that was like, yeah, we're kind of going back and forth. There's like 4 concurrent things that are happening right now. We have this main piece here. We have an animation, right? And then we have 2 websites, 2 apps, web apps that are in progress. I'm trying to wrap up one of them. And as for the 2 art pieces, we're kind of mostly focusing on this. And then like we do the animation once a week or like twice a week, something like that. Where'd it go? Are they floating? What am I looking at? I guess this is part of the ground. It's got interesting artifacts left over. Like I wonder, it feels like it feels more like dirt rather than like texture, you know? It feels like if this is a traditional painting, those are like eraser pieces, kind of erasing or something left over. Oh god damn. Okay, this so annoying. Cannot see it. Okay, very cool. I guess it's more moody and more muted. No, I need basically there's newts. As long as it's like over here I see it. Thank you, Devirus. Also thank you, Duvay. Also, what a bottle! Holy shit. It's interesting to see how they like do stuff like this when their palette and their technique is already so simplified. There's like no shading, no rendering. And there's still no shadows on the bottle, but you can still kind of see a bit of frosted sort of, I guess, overlaying on top. Show that it's transparent. The liquid itself, I guess, there's a bit more hand waving. Maybe more work on our parts. Well, the virus did say nudes and not loots. Just nudity and not ludity. I wouldn't consider this lewd. I mean, unless she is clearly suggesting something, which I wouldn't know unless I open this. But there is nudity indeed. Nipples. Pretty cool, I guess. The problem with this is that I can recognize like this is pretty. There's a lot of good reasons why like good, what was the word, benefits of drawing like this. I feel like something simplified like this, you get things out fast, you get the idea out fast while it's still fresh in your head. The focus on the colors is more because there's no sort of shading everywhere to go muddy the waters. You just big blocks of colors, very simple lighting. It's just fast and it feels more fun to draw, I would say, personally too, because it's just more line focus. But then it would never not register as incomplete in my head. So I can never truly appreciate like what is being drawn. It's always my brain is always like, yeah, it's like I wish there was something more, a little bit more, just a little bit more. And I get very distracted. And overhyping it. I see. I think something like this would be very cool in like one of those really complex Arknight-esque compositions. Like for example, let me see. I think Uni's suggestion yesterday had like a really complicated one. Is this the full picture? So something like this where it's really complicated, then maybe you have different rendering styles on each different area. And then in some parts of the image, maybe you just have flat colors and just lines compared to other parts. That might make it like an interesting contrast. Maybe something like this, I suppose, in this piece here. But otherwise, I don't think I will do this by itself. It just feels incomplete to me. I mean, it does happen, right? It does happen when something you like is like maybe overused, you know? Because there are things that you like that tends to be something like because there's a little bit of a novelty about it, I think. If everyone starts doing it, then you're like, yeah, it's not that special to me anymore. Maybe I should try something else. Anyways, thank you, Duvey. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like, so for me, it's kind of like hearing Japanese learners say sugoi desu ne a lot. Like, it is something that you will use on a daily basis, but then sometimes I just keep hearing people say it and I'm just kind of annoyed. Hmm. Well, Duve, you're bringing in more stuff to the picture, though. It doesn't have to be you wanting to be special, right? You can like something because it is a novelty, not because you want to be special necessarily. I'm not saying there's a good portion of people that, you know, the whole hipster movement is basically people liking stuff that is against the mainstream, right? Because they want it to be different. But at the same time, being different is just contrast, and liking contrast is what people do. So I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think one necessarily leads to the other. I think liking things for it being novel makes a lot of sense, right? If you make it your entire personality, then that becomes a separate issue, I think. No, but like it affects your enjoyment, right? I would say it affects your enjoyment. Like you can go to an amusement park or something, you can like a ride, but then because of the sheer number of people there, you're like, yeah, I'm not that interested anymore. You're not liking the ride because it's new or because you want to be special, right? You like it maybe because it's novel, but now everyone's doing it. If it there are some additional sort of things that kind of make it a little bit less enticing to you, and therefore you don't like it anymore. Would that not be a fair thing to happen? Because your enjoyment is kind of like art, I think. Like everything is kind of intertwined a little bit. Mm-hmm. No, I think that's fair. I mean, you can choose to like it, you can choose to dislike it. I'm not saying that it has to be either way, right? Like, and there are cases where I would like it no matter what, even if people all like it. Like characters with shark tails, I'm not gonna start hating on them because everyone starts drawing them. I'm still gonna like it, right? There are just things that things that aren't. Just like everything else in life, it's not one or the other. So I think it's completely fair if you don't like it, something because a bunch of people started doing it. I don't think it has to be related to because you want to be special or something like that. Although in most cases, I suppose there is a tendency for that to be the case. Um, how about Game Boy Advance that size? Advance. It is a little bit smaller on the width. Oh, 24, 2.4. What was the Game Boy thing again? 3.6. Surely someone put them side by side. Come on. They don't have it. Ah, here. Everybody lined up together. Like a firing squad. Oh my god. No, I think it's fine though, right? I don't think there's any conflicts here. I think I can appreciate like what Duvet is feeling though. because it seems like your opinions being so easily changed by the public is at a surface level, it does seem like you maybe it's like more superficial then. Because if you truly like it, why are you stopping liking it all of a sudden because other people like it, you know? But I also recognize that after all this time struggling on stream and through all this nonsense, that I tend to also kind of sometimes have this issue where it's easy to put a lot of different things together and think they're the same thing or have to one lead to the other. Sometimes there is this very nuanced thing in between. And maybe most people, most of the case, that is never the case. Maybe people always are always maybe the people that stop liking stuff because other people start liking it because they're always superficial. That I've always experienced that. Then it would make sense for me to think that, hey, if this happens right now in front of my face, it must be because this person is that. It makes sense too. I feel like, anyways, I don't necessarily think there's any conflicts. I just think it's a difference in opinions. Everything is based off your experience anyways in life. Makes sense that everyone is different. This is kind of flat. I don't know. Can I fit it under my hard disk stack? I'm gonna throw in like 2 things here. So we have a little bit more other than just one Tamagotchi. What do I do now? I need 1 or 2 more for the netting here. Since we do have games there, I might as well continue games. What other games are there? But then there's like a pony here. Oh, whatever. Can I fit Luna in here? Then I can take Luna out from the bottom. But then I want all the wolves to be downstairs. Oh yeah, right. No, I need Maple Story because I kind of removed that from the bottom, right? I need a pink bean. I need a pink bean. Pink bean. What in my stack of video game stuff though? Ah, here. Man, it's gonna take us 5 years to finish this at this rate. Well, I'm still a little bit hesitant to say that it's her room, just simply because the entire room layout is still pretty much the photograph, right, that we're referencing. And I don't really want that. If it's truly her room, I would like for it to be even more customized. I would come in and I would be like, yeah, the room is actually from this condo building in this corner of the building. This is the floor plan of the entire apartment. And then like this is what she would have. She would have like, I don't know, like a room for her stuffed animals. She'll have a room for her work, and then she'll have another room. So it is kind of both her room and not her room at the same time. My only qualm with it is that it's because it's just basically this photo layout here. That's my only qualm with it. Otherwise, I would commit and be like, yeah, this is her room. This is how it's gonna look from now on. Yeah. So not yet, I suppose. Gonna find an empty layer. I don't want to work on that stupid ass layer though. God damn it. Okay, one more layer for the road. What yet? This guy. At this point, I can't even see anything anymore. So I need to show both their faces, and I need the pink bin to kind of fit here. Maybe I can kind of have it sideways. I think it's more like a cushion rather than like a more detailed stuffed animal here. So I'm gonna maybe put it a little bit more sideways so we can kind of show what it is. If I have it fill up the space a little bit better. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still kind of like a little bit on the fence about like the what was that thing called? The mapping thing. The art in the repo is called an art map, but this thing here, I'm still a little bit hesitant about this thing. Talking about this thing on stream. Because this thing feels very similar to basically what people are doing with like the LoRa's, right? LoRa's are basically the ways to extract out the specific sort of style of a particular artist and use it in AI. Of course, that's not what we're doing, and we're not using one artist. There's like hundreds of them here, um, and it's primarily going to be for personal use, just so we can do analysis faster. I was kind of on the fence. I don't know, like, what do you guys think? Does this sound like AI to you guys, or does it not sound like AI to you guys? I feel like this is the first time I kind of ask a question like this. Generally, I just kind of present my thoughts and don't really ask any questions. The sorter, yeah, it's kind of like just a sorter. It just kind of sort of helps you figure out what art looks like what other art. Kind of like Pinterest, essentially. Down the line, the plan is to just be able to find artists faster, find other people faster. If we discover like a new artist, let's say we do like a what you would call it, like a Duvay's Daily thing, right? I can take one of the pieces, I can put it in, and I can be like, oh, look, if you like this artist, maybe you like this other artist. And then it has like a whole bunch of different suggestions there for like, oh, this is another artist, that's another artist. Um, mm-hmm. Yeah, right, okay. That kind of makes sense to me. Thank you for the feedback. Sorry, let me swap this on. Let me bring this down. Mhm. Because like once you bring, like in the past, it'd be kind of like a cool idea, right? Inherently, it is not the same, technically. But then, like, from most people's point of view, there is also not much difference because you are kind of doing the same thing, aren't you? And at the same time, you know, like the fact that I'm even using AI to do coding and stuff like that can be seen as hypocritical by a decent number of people, I imagine. Because it'd be like, if you're truly against AI and this and that, I guess I'm not necessarily truly against. But like, if you're truly in support of all the artists and blah blah blah, you should not be even touching it. You should just let them die, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But the irony being that AI is the only reason we even have time to do this. I even have time to do this. So it is a very tricky issue, I feel like, half the time. I'm in like a very weird spot. I don't really know where I am exactly. As long as I get to keep drawing, I'm okay. The feet is like kind of a bit more in the front. I actually don't really know if this is recognizable at this rate. How about I swap this out for the slime instead? I think the slime might be a bit more recognizable. Because the eyes come in and it's more round. Maybe it's a bit easier to deal with. Let me try the slime instead. Yeah, Pinterest is just a... Pinterest is interesting though, right? Pinterest. Oh my god, so squeeze. Everything is squished together. But I'm not drawing very well right now. Shapes are not very agreeable. You got automoted? What did you say? I didn't even see it on my side. There's a hardcore automotive. The big boss personally deleted your message. Tagging images as AI modified? What is that when they aren't? No one can tell anymore, can they? Honestly. No one can tell anymore. I'm gonna not draw the stick, because I think it's probably gonna be blocked by something else anyways. This eye should get pushed. Anyway, you guys saw like the Chinese, as in like Chinese, like they made like the robots that can do like martial arts. And holy shit, that's impressive. That is so insanely impressive. The fact that they never fall over, that they can wield weapons, that they can choreograph together in sync without any delays and any other problems. We are 100% screwed, guys. %100%. It's not blocking enough things, but at least it's blocking a little bit, I suppose. Need more overlapping here. That would be fine. I need... Nessie is already in here. Oh, come on. I need more. I need more. Let me see. Yeah, I need more plushies. I need more plushies for this corner here. What else do I got? I could just put like Fubuki, like the one. Where is it? Where to go? I could just put this one, I guess. All these things shown as a sign of enthusiasm. So because her story is possession. Oh, I don't know where the line is being drawn exactly. I'm not thinking too deep though. If that's why you're wondering. And on my side, it doesn't really. I'm not thinking too deep in like exactly specifically why there's so many or like why these ones in particular. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking of it as like plushies are the way that she copes, right? And so she got interested in owning them and making them. So having a large variety can be seen as research, can just be seen as general interest. There's definitely obsession and sort of unhealthy dependence, but those will be on specific ones, which currently I still haven't got around to designing, so they don't actually exist yet. but I would imagine they might exist at this point in time. Maybe, maybe not actually. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the Skombo we can have a little bit more squish over here, maybe sidewise. But yeah, thank you for the question, by the way. Like, other questions that is asking specifically more about like the setting, state of mind, and comp and all those things are very helpful because it helps me figure out if I'm missing anything. Honestly, like doing art and like this piece specifically because it's so complex. There's a lot of things going into it. I can appreciate like when things are not necessarily lined up, like because like as a viewer of certain franchise or certain content, it's easy to criticize and be like, how did they miss something like this? But then when you're on the creation side, that's just everything. And there's no real good way to make sure everything is correct unless you personally went through it or something. You're bound to miss something at some point. So, pretty cool, I guess. Stupid ass face, man. Holy shit. Without the years looks weird. Let's get the years in real quick. Yeah, I think like honestly, I wasn't very in control with a lot of these things, I feel like. In this case here, maybe because we couldn't possibly have been, just simply because we've never done something like this for Faye. We never really flesh out the character to this extent. To like her exact hobbies and her exact things that she would like to play and the exact room layout and where things might be in front of her. So maybe it couldn't have been done. Maybe the exploration process and slow process is the only way we could have done it. But then like say the plushies, for example, and like these figures, for example. When before I draw them, I was trying to approach them as in just like whatever that would look nice, just shove it in there. But then if I took a step back and thought about it, right, like this, even though it's not in the immediately in front of her, is still decently sort of exposed and visible. So it should be approached from a perspective of like what she might have put in here, I guess, like in the priority of thing. So music being a big part will kind of make sense, which is kind of went with the Vocaloids because she likes music. So by extension, this kind of makes sense. That is true. That is pretty true, actually, the virus. The only downside is that if we do that for art, it's kind of like no one's there to justify it, and then people start to read too much into it. It's like the typical, the literature teacher is like, hey, what did the author mean when they said the curtains were blue? Like, or like the leaves were falling. People will be like, oh, she's dying. No, the leaves are just falling. Risky, you know, kind of vibe. So I would like to do something like that, but I would also like to have a way to show that it is just kind of bullshit. It's just like because she doesn't care enough, and you shouldn't care too much about it either. I wish there's an easier way to do that or something. That would be nice, actually. That would really give more character, right? Because it's like, not everyone is like so thematically on point. Actually, most people are not. It always amazes me to see like streamer rooms and stuff like that. You know, everything is tied together. There's like fucking always that stupid ass light and RGB light in the back. A lot of props and shelves full of random miscellaneous items to keep things interesting. That takes so much effort to set up. My room has always been like just a blank empty room, white walls. Throughout my entire life, I don't think I've ever had anything on the walls. I've never had any decorations. Well, my desk doesn't really have space for decorations, but very nice. It's very. We have one tiny scombo over here. hill is kind of in the way, but that is also kind of the point. Man, I have no intention of finishing this. Holy shit, the way I'm approaching this. If there's one piece going onto my website, it will be this one, by the way. Everything else up till now is kind of meh. This one here... Oh man, like this one here, honestly, if we really want to go for it, we should keep things on separate layers, right? So that maybe certain things can be animated. I'm not sure. Right? Imagine I take a video recording of the screen in VR chat because it kind of moves. You see these light lines here? They're like kind of these wisps of light that kind of drifts to the center and goes up the spiral, if I remember correctly. We can have that playing. I can literally record it, composite it into the piece, have the lighting change affect the environment, and then have this as a singular web page on my website. So that when people go in, they see the screen flickering, they see the lights, and then they hear the same music that she's hearing. Oh shit. The more I'm saying it, the more I'm like, the more I'm saying it, the more I'm like, I kind of have to do this now, don't I? Because like, there's two reasons why. The number one reason is because I do need something like that to sort of test out what the website cannot do, right? We do need something where it's more moody, it is more like spiritually, emotionally connected to myself. And this is setting up to be the perfect piece to do it. The problem now is that if that is the case, the approach into rendering is a little bit different. I need to figure out how to break the layers up and how to animate it. My intuition is telling me Adobe After Effects, because I've done some stuff before in the past, and that seems like the best way to do it. Because I think there are filters in there that can take a video and then apply lighting based on the light in the video, right? There's stuff to do, set stuff up like that. What would be the difference then, right? So all the lighting layers should be kept on separate layers, for sure. That's definitely a must do. Then maybe like additional glow layers can be set up separately as well, like just airbrush glows. I think more likely than not, the airbrush will be replaced by something else in Adobe After Effects, if that's what we're doing. Or we can do it manually, which is kind of a bad idea, actually. I can't really do it manually now that I think about it. We need a high number of frame rate, right? So I can't really possibly do that manually here. We would need something to animate it. So Adobe After Effects seems to be the only option then, I think. It's the only thing that I know I can use. I'm not looking forward to paying for it though. God damn it. Yeah, Adobe After Effects. A screen recording. Composite. We make a video. Oh. We take the video, we put it on the website, but we can also make individual objects highlightable. Imagine this. Holy shit. Imagine this is the website, right? Imagine this is the entire page. It kind of sucks that this is a portrait, right? But let's say we ignore the fact that it's a portrait. There's just going to be blank space on the side, right? Or some kind of frosted glass effect. But let's say you can kind of mouse over the entire thing. Let's say your mouse can come over here, and then it selects this entire thing, and then it just has a text box that explains like, hey, why is this here? It's because she likes music. Her favorite music from Vocaloid is X, Y, and Z. Blah 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 blah. Right? Mouse over here is like, oh, what is going on here? Her take on the popular meme by Homer Simpson. Do it for her, and then like this. Who is this other character in the photos, and what this means to her? Wait a second. God damn it, dude. Wait, hang on. This is great. Mouse over the music. Mouse over the phone, the music. Mouse over the table. It's like, oh, this is a mess. Because X, Y, and Z. It'd be a very interesting way to sort of introduce the character. Oh, wow. Okay, it would be a very interesting way to introduce the character, number one. Number two, it leverages the medium of a website perfectly. Because it has a video, it has interactive elements, it would have music playing, and it would have Well, that's kind of it actually. But like, wow, okay. Now I'm excited again. It's pretty exciting. My website's gonna go down, is it not? My God, if not because it's gonna necessarily get popular, but because the amount of data that's gonna be sent through, I think. Because the video is gonna be kind of decently big if we wanted to have a good enough quality. Then it's gonna have audio as well. Audio will be sent separately, so it can be paused and unpaused and muted separately. The video needs to be on a loop, but that's fine, right? That's not really a problem. Okay then. I mean, it doesn't really change what we have to do now, because we still have a lot of things to sort through, primarily just the rest of the stuffed animals, but the way we enter the rendering and the setup will be pretty important. I have to think about it a little bit, because yeah. Okay. Because the other idea I was having for the website is that it's gonna be somewhat 3D, right? You guys play Arkness Amphir. You guys know when you go through the menus, even ZZD, like Genshin. I don't know if Genshin had it, but when you change the different menus, your camera kind of pans around in the game, right? And I think for the most part, it doesn't really matter too much. Like the character just kind of moves, right? And then your camera pans around the character to showcase the character. So it's not like the menu itself is in the world, but you can easily extend the idea to say like, hey, there's a computer in the world, right? And whenever you access a menu, it's actually this computer in the world. And that concept is called diegetic UI, apparently. I searched this up. I was trying to ask Google what that kind of thing is like. There are examples of this kind of website, and then it told me that it means it's diegetic. And there's apparently this sort of breakdown here that says, is it in the game environment, and is it in the game's narrative, right? Because is it a terminal in game showcasing something that is meant to show, or is it just taking that prop in game and then showing some kind of menu, like for example your game settings, your volume settings and stuff like that? That doesn't make sense in the narrative of the world. So diegetic would be something that is both in the environment and also both in the narrative, apparently. I'm about to use this word as to just mean in the game environment, because I don't really care if it's between meta or diegetic or like whatever the other stuff is. Oh, or whether if it's spatial or diegetic, I think. But the idea is that the website's main sort of layout would have some kind of a 3D engine in the back. It'll be a very simple 3D engine, because I don't like websites that take forever to load. It'll be very bare bones. But because there is that physical space, you can potentially in the future maybe find like a low polygon version of a 3D anime girl, remodel it to be our own characters, and have the character kind of move around in the background of the website as sort of people in the front are going through the menu, for example, going through like a portfolio piece. I think that is the general sort of direction for the UI design on the website. The execution and the final design remains to be seen. I think I still haven't really started the storyboarding and stuff like that. You see, George, you don't have to learn it, is the thing. My current website is Nix.js. I don't know how to write TypeScript, dude. My entire repo is like 99% TypeScript, but I don't know how to write TypeScript. I never learned it. And I don't have to, is the thing. Because I just tell the AI to, hey, can you make it for me? And then it makes it. It saves me so much time and effort. And I can take the time and effort, go do something else while it's doing that. The only downside is you kind of need you do need a pretty powerful AI, and you do need to give it access to basically all the code. But I have no qualms with that. It's not like it's top secret or anything. It's not proprietary code. So yeah, I can just send it. So far it's been very good. Like no matter what kind of complicated thing I ask it to do, it will be able to do it. The result might not be perfect, but it doesn't crash. It doesn't have any bugs. When you run and start up the website, there are no error messages. That is insane to me. Like human-made stuff has a lot of warnings, has a lot of deprecated warnings, has a lot of you need to upgrade this, upgrade that nonsense. This is clean. Like, this is absolutely insanely clean. Kind of scary how good it is at doing that shit. Yeah, it's 5.3 codecs. I have it linked up to my VS Code here. I can't really see it. If you look at the bottom here, oh, where'd it go? Oh, it's here. 5.3 codecs. What's the codecs max and codec? I was complaining to it about stupid shit, and then it would give you the diff. But yes, it is. It should be GPT's model, but it's only specifically for coding, I think. You can't find it on the website, so I don't really know actually. The setting at the bottom also says local. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's running on my GPU because even if it's a 5070, I don't think it has enough power, nearly enough power to run their 100-something billion model. Oh yeah, the difference between the free and the paid is a huge difference, by the way, George. It's a huge difference. And rightfully so. I mean, like, the free stuff is really kind of stupid because it tries to do things. It tries to do things that don't really make sense. Like, you can see why it might be doing it, but it doesn't really think out the sort of logic and why it's doing that well. So as a result, like the stuff that it ends up with is kind of neither here nor there sometimes. Well, most of the time, I think. You can quiz you instantly. Right, I don't think that would be... So that would just be a simple memory retrieval, right? Mm-hmm. Hang on, I need to get rid of Luna for a bit. They can hook up to YouTube and give you a summary. Well, what does that mean? Does it make you a video? Oh, I see. It can read a video, right? Oh, I remember making that. That was my resume actually. I made a bot that was able to you can give it any YouTube link, and it will go to the YouTube link. It will download the video. It will transcribe the video using Whisper model. I think back then it wasn't V3 yet. Or was it V3 already? It will transcribe it. It will put it into a vector database. It will embed the transcription. It will put it into a vector database, and you can ask it anything about the video. And it will tell you what the video said about it, and at what timestamp it said it. So you can be like, hey, can you give me a summary? It's like, oh, at 1 minute it said this, and 2 minutes it said this. And you can ask, hey, did it say anything about this topic? It's like, okay, yeah, I said something. It might not be very relevant, but I said something at this timestamp, and then you can go to the timestamp and be like, oh shit. It was not 100% effective. Sometimes it is doing some weird shit and hallucinating stuff, and the timestamps are wrong and stuff like that. But it was a pretty good showpiece, I think, at that point in time, right? That was 2 years ago, I think. Right, to have a working AI sort of chatbot that people can chat to and interact with live, I think it's pretty enticing to recruiters and stuff like that. It was pretty good. That thing taught me a lot about sort of the retrieval process, though. Because, like, if you want stuff like timestamps, right? You have to retrieve it from the video, yes. And that's not difficult. But the way that you store in the database is very important. Because RAG systems inherently works based off of like a text token thing, right? It's just about strings and token and stuff matching like that. So you need to put the timestamps in the vicinity of the data that it would be relevant to. So an example is this, right? If you have like a bunch of data, you can put like the text timestamp in the front like this, and then you can have multiple pieces of data like this, right? For example. And then when it retrieves, let's say it retrieves the data in this area, there's a chance that it doesn't retrieve this part. It doesn't retrieve this part, so it has no idea what time it is. That is one possibility. The other possibility is that if you want to make it super detailed, you can have like a timestamp, and then like a sentence, and then a timestamp, and then a sentence, and then a timestamp and a sentence. And of course, this way, anytime you retrieve something, the chance that it retrieves the entire thing with the timestamp is very high. because it's been very close proximity. But your data density goes down by a lot. Now you have like a lot of data dedicated to just timestamps. This is like what, a good 20% of your storage. So then the problem comes is like, hey, should I do it this way where the timestamp is with data? Or should I pre-build a system? You can pre-build like a lookup system. You can have like a table of contents even, right? You can have a lookup table here where it's like this time talks about this topic, this time talks about this topic. And then your text data is actually just text data. But then when it retrieves the text data, it can query another AI. It can do another step here where it tries to figure out, hey, for what is this retrieved data talking about? So like topic, and then timestamp, and then you can retrieve the timestamp and then provide a like sort of estimated timestamp instead of like a strict timestamp. So now you still get data, but your density is higher. It might not be as precise, but you can be faster, maybe. You can be smaller, maybe. So there's a lot of trade-offs in that, and it becomes like a lot of interesting things that you can talk to your interviewer about if you're looking for a job, by the way. Because you can tell them like, hey, there are these problems, and this is how I solved them. Why did I solve it this way? You know, what are the ups and downs about this? What kind of other problems I ran into, and so on and so forth. It's a lot of stuff you can talk about once you make something like that, I feel like. It's partly how I got my offer, actually. If I remember correctly. I think I sound like a crazy person when I was interviewing, because I was talking about my sort of AI VTuber setup that I wanted to get working, but it didn't work out because it was kind of hard. It was really hard, actually, to get it working. But I think I got a little bit too excited talking about it. But then as a result, I think they're like, oh, wow, this guy seems pretty interested in this technology. You know, we can hire him. And then they gave me a pretty mediocre offer. There was a lot of considerations that went in. Primarily, it was kind of mediocre. The second thing was that this industry is a little bit insane. You can imagine AI is very new. Anything that's new is unstable. Unstable means that you have to move fast. You have to code things. The company has to move really quick. They have to get features out really quick. That means everyone's working like crazy. Because the moment they slow down, they can get taken over by competitors. That's number one. And number two, AI can just freaking get... They can just get cancelled by like a new AI model. You know, I remember in the beginning, there's a lot of AI sort of providers, like not AI, like AI service providers that sort of leverage a little bit of LLM to do what they do, and then like a more specialized model came out that does exactly what they do but at a fraction of the cost, and they all just instantly bankrupt on the spot. So yeah, it was a very cutthroat sort of industry at that point in time. I think Imagine now is still pretty insane. It's still not like the most comfortable thing to work on. It's still very fast paced. And like working in environments like that, you really have to like the technology a lot, because you have to be willing to read it up, like read up new topics, new papers, new technologies, new ideas, new architectures, new solutions. If not, you get replaced really quickly. Because your boss would be like, hey, have you seen this thing? You're like, no. It's like, why are you here? It's a fast-paced moving industry. You gotta be on the ball, bro. Blah blah blah. Stupid shit. Anyways, and it's like, yeah, no thanks. I want to do art, you know. Like I can't possibly spend my free time reading out for work. And they weren't even paying that well, actually. But yeah, anyway, so that's a hiring story. I also screwed up some interviews, pretty spectacularly, by the way. Man, I screwed up some not even that difficult interviews. It was like not difficult of a legal question. I believe it was big int. So if you guys are programmers or not programmers, but basically values are stored in bits, right, of ones and zeros like this. How many did I write down? So 8 bits, right? This is criminal to not put it together like this, right? So this is 8 bits. It stores up to 255, right? If you plus 1 here, it goes back down to 0, right? So the issue is of integer overflow. And big int is a idea. It's also a library, I think, in Python. I can't remember specifically. But the idea is that your numbers can potentially go infinitely long. So how do you store that? You can't possibly have a infinitely long sort of container. So rather than storing it as a integer, you will store it as a series of characters. And then now instead of storing it in a specific byte like this, you're just representing the character, like let's say 0, 1, 5, 6, 7. You're just writing the 8 bits for the character 7, right? It's just a string, essentially, is what it is. But then the BigInt sort of library is capable of doing a long number plus a long number equals to another long number. No, even hexadecimal. We're talking about going up to like basically infinity here, George. It's not about like trying to make the information more dense. You could, right? But the issue here is that we can have potentially like 100 digits here, or like 1,000 digits here, or like 1,000,000 digits here. You know, even if you have hexadecimal, it's still, this is like 10 millimeter. Actually, I cannot count. But so the issue here isn't that we can just increase the information density or increase the size of the container. It's about being able to support effectively infinity plus infinity and doing mathematical operations on it. And the way you would do that is just use strings, and you will treat it like a number. So when you do addition, you will go down the characters, and you will add things up accordingly based on what the characters are and are not. And then that will be how that works. But you have to handle different cases. You have to handle overflows. You have to handle stuff like carrying over. I forgot what was the specific edge case that screwed me up. But the thing I coded didn't work. So you just outright fail on the spot. If things don't work, you just fail, right? So, not a very good programmer, by the way. Oh, well, specifically for BigInt, the main idea is just this, right? If you have a very long number, unless you're doing addition, what you can do is that at the instant, so let's say this is I, let's say this is J, like the indexing, sorry, that's opposite direction. So we start off at 0, position 0 here, and then we go up to position N here, right? So let's say we're doing this and we're trying to get a new number here. We're essentially doing stuff like this, right? We are casting the values in I0 plus integer of J0. And then you're taking this result and you're getting some number, right? And this number inherently goes from 0 to, was it 9 plus 9 is like 18 or 19 or something? And then you convert that back to character. So essentially you're doing this. And then you're assigning it. Oh, sorry, this is not correct. You have to do a modulo first. So I need double bracket. Modulo by 10. Assuming it's base 10, by the way. Your library needs to account for different bases too. But so this would give you the quotient again. Ah shit, I forgot all the numbers. And then the extra numbers are the carryover. So the carry would be this same thing. Wait, hang on. Divided by 10? No, sorry, this is divided by 10. Oh my god. Integer division truncate. And then the other one would be the modulo, and this is your carry. And then this one gets written to your K0. And then your carry is assigned this value here. So your math here actually is missing the carry, by the way. Anyways, it's a huge mess here. And then you just go down the line. This is just for addition. The next step is quantum. Those things are inherently slightly different. They're not talking about the same thing anymore. Isn't binary tied directly to the transistors? Like, does it still convert back to machine? Binary is just a system for counting. So you can use anything to represent binary. You can use transistors, which inherently at the end of the day, this is actually what my major is in, but I'm probably going to screw this up too, right? But inherently it's just voltage. In transistors, at the end of the day, it's just voltage. So if you have voltage here, fuck, how do you spell it? Voltage V over time S. You will have some voltage here, right? So for example, this is 0 volts, and this is, let's say, 1.5 volts. And essentially when your voltage reaches above 0.1, this is considered a 1. And if it's below this threshold, some threshold here, it'll be considered a 0. Essentially is what it is. In the middle is like a weird transitionary zone that is neither here nor there. That's why the machine only uses on and off states. I don't know if it's necessarily that way. Let me try to recall here. Transistors have only on and off states. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like in real world, everything is analog. There is no 1 and there's no 0 unless you put in the definition, right? In the case of sort of transistors, we're talking about the voltage across the terminals. It can either have a voltage of some value, or it can have nothing, or some low value, or some in-between value. And we're arbitrarily saying that this is a 1 and this is a 0. We can, of course, also set it here at 1.25, and this can be our new 1. Then you're saying that, hey, there's more area for 1, and then stuff like that. I mean, quantum computers might not have, right? The point here isn't necessarily that they have to be the same or have to be different or anything like that, but there is a system of counting for 1s and 0s, and then there is the physical representation of it and the physical way of it being implemented in the real world. You have, in the case of binary, you have the magnetic disks of your hard disk, right? Those are one way of representing it. You have the transistors and the voltages, the semiconductors. You have the quantum computers and the bits and the qubits, right? The qubits can be outspin, downspin. That one, in that case, I believe it is still analog. I don't think it's always 1 or 0. There is still like a different indirection. Like there is not always 100% up or 100% down. They kind of point sideways too, I think. I don't know this at all, by the way. Yeah, the big in thing is a library that you can just Google it, I think. Like there are already existing implementations of stuff like that to do it. The leak code question they were talking about is just kind of a do it again and then show me your thinking kind of thing. But yes, hello Igami, by the way. I think I remember distinctly in the past, because right now I can barely remember anything, and I feel like I'm very incoherent. And I can remember distinctly in the past when I was much younger, I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna end up like that. I'm gonna make sure that I know the stuff I know that I'm supposed to know, you know. But here I am. It always happens, man. Like you look at people of like an older age, and you're like, yeah, I'll never end up being like so weak and feeble like them. But then like it's gonna come for you, bro. It's coming. Everyone's gonna end up like that. It's really hard to imagine all these like elderly in the past and how sort of active they might have been, how strong they might have been, how smart they might have been. And then, but at the end of the day, like your body is gonna give up on you. Your body is gonna get old, and things are just gonna break, and you're just gonna stop remembering things. Your brain's gonna get slower, and it's just how it is, I guess. And I'm really starting to feel it. The 30 something is where you start to you contemplate life a lot. That's why it's called the midlife crisis, right? My God, dude. The number into the Roman numeral. I hate that question too. Okay, I hate programming in general, especially when you're solving questions just for like competition purposes, stuff like that. There's competitive programming, by the way. I don't know if you guys know. I'm sure like the computer people would know that there's competitive programming, and the International Olympiad for Informatics, that is called the IOI, which is basically smart people trying to duke it out with computer algorithms. I used to be in a computer science club that does that, and of course I was not good at it. I hated it. Midlife crisis, it depends. Like, I mean, midlife crisis, I don't think I'm having it now. There's a lot of aspects to midlife crisis. There's an aspect of midlife crisis where you're wondering what to do with your life. That part I've already had it. I've had it like 10 years ago. That part I already wondered and wondered and wondered. And then my solution was RIA, basically. That's how we're here. That's how I'm okay with just working on 4 hours of sleep and just trying to make things work. Well, Ria's not really a waifu. Ria's more of a daughter fu at this point. It's always gonna be interesting, like kind of weird. If you have a character for a really long time, right? It's at some point you kind of outgrow them a little bit. In a sense, like Ria is still very relevant, but because when I made her, I was a kid, so she was a kid. But then I grew up and she didn't, right? She's still kind of a kid. So like it's it's weird, like the dynamic kind of changes over time. No, no, I would not call them that. For out of respect for both entities, I think I wouldn't want to name my actual human child after a fictional character, and I wouldn't want to ruin the image of Ria either with disrespecting her by saying like she's someone else either, right? Like someone's gonna replace her. I think either way, it's not gonna happen. I would be a terrible person to give names, I think, because I will be trying to come up with the most unique and special names. I will be like Elon Musk. But I'm not that bad though. I'm not gonna be like, hey, this guy is like ABCDEFG, @ sign hashtag 12345 or some stupid shit like that. But I would want to come up with something more unique. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ria's not a waifu anymore. That's why Faye kind of exists. So Ria, I can keep Ria's memories intact, essentially. Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. Ah, Broski, I have a lot of Fumos to draw. Are these called Fumos? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I will be straight up honest with her that that is 100% the case. I think I have a tendency to cause drama by being more honest that rather than not, I think. It's gotten me into trouble before as well. But I can't talk too much about that just because that part is still a little bit sensitive. Because someone asked me for my opinion, I gave them my opinion, and I kind of got in trouble for that. Lomao. Is this the same size or no? I guess it's kind of like not framing the face correctly. 4 years? No, 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 no. Faye only has 2 years. Wait, what? All my characters will have 2 years, by the way. If a character in my world has like more than 2 years, it's because it's not my character. It would have been probably requested by a friend or something like that. I don't know if they're necessarily. I mean, disagreeing. I think it's fine though, right? Disagreeing is fine, right? You don't have to be the same as everyone else. Isn't that a good thing for artists to have a more unique view on everything? I mean, of course, that's up for you to decide. If you want to be more agreeable too, that also makes sense. But that tends to happen, huh? But I also find it very interesting because it means that it sparks debates, it sparks communication and exchange of ideas, and that's where a lot of things can be discovered and learned. As long as it's done in a more managed way. I think that makes yeah, I disagree with you just because. Ah, disagree starts with D. The virus starts with D. I gotta do it. I'm gonna make Texas sit on Lapland, by the way. I have half the mind to make her sit on the face directly, but I think I'm just gonna turn Lapland over. Although that kind of we kind of have an issue here because I cannot have her block the text. So either we make her smaller. Let me think. Okay, what else do I want to put here first? So the three of them. I kind of ran out, huh? I didn't think I would run out. I don't want to put out the other. Oh, Let me think about this. The head size is different. Very different, actually. Huh? It could still possibly be. I'm gonna push it over a bit. Man, this would be insane if we can get this up and going the way that I just envisioned it today. It really does feel like everything's coming along. I think the biggest mistake is number one, not starting, and then number two, not sort of consolidating things as we go along the way. Like, the mentality shift from trying to find a unique art style right off, like, directly, versus I'm just gonna take some stuff I like, and I'm gonna put them on the paper, on the board, and I'm gonna just have it. And that's great, right? It's not original necessarily. It's not the final goal, final sort of version necessarily, but I have it on paper and I can iterate upon it. I think that is the biggest mentality shift over this 1,000 hours, and that helps a lot with making progress. Not knowing that I don't have to go straight to the end, but still would be able to go get to the end, even with this kind of method. So it's nice. Everything feels like it's coming together. By the end of this year, it should be pretty nice, I think. We will at least have a lot of infrastructure set up for consolidating ideas and refining them. And that, in and of itself, is a huge leap, I think. I mean, that's a joke, I think, right? But at the same time, it's also not necessarily that bad of an idea, I feel like sometimes. Like, because just because your goal this year is to set a goal next year, doesn't necessarily mean that would be the only thing you do. Doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't learn more than what you are saying you're about to do, right? Because at the end of the day, my goal for last year was really just to be here 3 hours a day. And that compared to what we actually end up learning and figuring out, I think it's a huge leap that I wouldn't have seen coming. So it could be pretty powerful. As long as you just like focus on that goal and then just work on it, like I think it can still be very powerful. Oh, I see. Is that mandatory service in your country, Igami? kind of need another wolf character. I'm wondering if I should make a Rhea one here. Oh. Drafted as a military service, right? I think that's the only context by which that sentence is that term is used. Okay, I see. Well, I would say it depends on like how you feel about it. I think there are good and bad things that you get out of it. The main good thing is by the end of it, you would be a slightly stronger person, depending on how you approach it. But you'll definitely be stronger, and you'll be left with a bunch of interesting memories, I would say. Ah, okay. In that case, I'm sure it'd be fine. I need another wolf. Ah, shit, I cannot search it here. God damn it. Alright, how about here? Oh, maybe like Silver Wolf from like a Honkai Star Rail, maybe. Kind of fits a little bit. Actually, yeah, I would put her in here. Not necessarily because Faye might like her, but just because in the beginning, actually, she was part of the inspiration. I might as well just throw her in. Why not? It's just a Fumo anyway. That makes no it's not that big of a deal. Silver Wolf. I'm not being very on point with the progress of this piece, I think, of art recently. Mostly just kind of vibing it. Which is fine, I suppose, but progress has been a little bit slower. Without more active effort. But while the websites are still in progress, I suppose this is fine. I feel like I say this sentence every time I stream. Pretty sure I said similar things yesterday. Oh, what? What layer am I on? What the... I want to put Lablam in some weird position. Lablam. Because I'm doing secondary. Okay, that's fine. That's acceptable. I can't put her here. Can I stuff her in here? Okay, hang on. I kind of want to show this dumb face. Maybe I'll put her on lab, Texas Lab or something. I need to get the same size. This is kind of big, huh? I'm going to scale it down. I don't have enough space here. Oh, whoops. Let's try it first. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Quite a lot bigger. What? How did it end up so big? Why do I always do this? How do I always do this? Oops. Still trying to get used to my keyboard and mouse here. When new good things can be so hard to use. Got you too used to using junk. Play in water. I think she wouldn't mess with like liquids and fluids and stuff like that, like food in particular, just because there's a lot of stuffed animals, and I don't think she wanted to get them dirty. Not like this, anyways. Wink, wink. But maybe that's where she draw the line. I think clutter, dry clutter, like dusty, kind of messy, versus like wet, liquidy, stainy, kind of messy is a bit slightly different. Yeah, Faye, right? Faye's voice, I'm not really sure, actually. I don't have a lot of voices in my head. Wow, okay. That did not came out the way... that did not come out the way I thought it was gonna come out. But, yes, I do not have a lot of voices in my head, just my own. But... yeah, that's a really good point. Personally, I really like accents. I like accents a lot. Like, I think part of it is... it's kind of a bit of a... yeah, it's kind of hard to say, actually. Maybe just specific accents I really like. For Japanese, it's the Kansai dialect. I like the Kansai dialect a lot. Like, to the point where, like, I'm interested in characters that just has it. Because I want to just hear them say it. It feels very nice to hear them say it, for whatever reason. It tends to be more expressive, I feel like. It tends to be more flowy. The expression of the ideas tends to be a little bit more fun, I would say. And also, Kansai people are really good at talking, just in general. Because, like, the way that the kids play is apparently, according to a Kansai person, is that they would pretend to be MC hosts and try to mimic all the, you know, you guys know M1, as in, like, the comedy... there's, like, the comedy duo thing, right, in Japan. I forgot what's it called. Manzai? Like, a month ago or something, like, when it was New Year's, there was, like, a M1, which is, like, kind of like the F1 racing, but except it's for Manzai. For like these duos, they will go up and tell jokes and have a competition to see who's funnier. Apparently, the kids would just all mimic them in their youth. So when they grow up, or as they're growing up, they're just really good at making things funny. Or something. They're all very good at talking. Anyways, accents, right? So the reason why I brought it up is because you guys know that ZZZ character that we were trying to animate before? Like, not animate, but trying to borrow the dancing from before, the Suna character. Sunna. Angels of Delusion, she's the one with the hair like this. Shit, how does her hair work? Ah, shit, I forgot. But then there's like a tail here. There's like a halo here. But I didn't realize she had a Kansai dialect in the Japanese VA. And I got really interested in the character all of a sudden. Like, wow, look at that. So I'm wondering, right, if I would give Faye like an accent. But I also have to consider more of the like lore background just to see if it will work. I don't have to consider it so much. I can change things to make it work. But if she were made for the purpose that she was made for, in a lab, and in an environment that's very controlled, that is a pipeline for pumping out sort of entities like herself, it would be very hard for them to have individuality, basically. Stuff like accents and stuff, I don't know where she will pick it up from, necessarily. But it could be that, like, her native language, the language that she was, I wouldn't say raised, but that she was programmed with is English. And then, like, Japanese is like a language she picked up herself. And she just happened to watch the wrong media when she was learning it. That's why she learned it in, like the accenty way. Could be that. So we can make it work if we want to. I'm not sure if it fits her image at this point. Shuten Doji. Shuten Doji. Legendary, powerful only in the Japanese spoken horror. Oh, I see. It's probably a character in another. Oh, I see. FGO. I see. She feels like a more like the Kyoto side of Kansai. My mental image of Kyoto Kansai people is like freaking very traditional, especially like the girls. They would dress up in those like kimonos and whatnot, and then it's very Japanese style, Japanese culture kind of thing. And then my image of Osaka people is just like an uncle with like a t-shirt and shorts. That's my image. I like to think that it's not too far from the truth, honestly. I don't know how to draw Fumos. This is gonna be a lot of hand waving here. I don't think it matters too much at this point. There's enough details and enough rigid stuff here to sort of hold everything together already. So some inaccuracies here, I think, would be very, very acceptable. I still don't know what the rendering is going to look like, but given that we want to kind of animate this a little bit more now, the coloring and rendering is pretty much very limited, I would say. I would have to figure out if it's possible to add stuff like texture and stuff, depending on the workflow on After Effects. I imagine it still be possible as long as they're on the separate layers, but anyways, we'll talk about that when we get there. Kansai girlfriend reminds me of a specific manga. You're not talking about like girlfriends in general, like what, Rent a Girlfriend? I never followed that, but I saw some of the stuff that happened, and I'm like, yeah, kind of base, huh? Like the guy is kind of base, huh? He just kind of self-inserts himself. That's cool, I guess. It is his shit. He can do whatever the hell he wants, I suppose. What a based man, dude. Who is the main character gonna marry? Who is this attractive anime girl gonna marry? The main character? No, she's gonna marry me. That's so based, dude. Holy shit, dude. Nothing but respect for the guy. Yeah, self-insert, and then like immediately like satisfy his own what's the word? It's not really depravities, but like more like just his own desires. Dude, I don't know if I would have the balls, man. Like holy shit, like millions of people follow that, and he just does whatever the fuck he wants. Like that is so based. What? What is a man if not someone who follows his own path, who makes his own path, dude? That ladies is a man. Man, I'm excited for this one. I kind of want to work more on this rather than my stupid ass website now. I keep thinking like the website is basically done. Because a lot of the core features for the viewing thing is done. But then I keep finding new things that can be slightly improved so that the experience for viewing and finding things is easier, like adding a list, adding favorites. So that when you change the different features, you still know where the piece you like is. And then it's just never ending. Feature creeping everywhere. And feature creeping R and feature creeping the website thing, the app. Story of my life. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. The vision is coming together. And like not pre-planned too. That's the amazing part, right? I guess this is like the exploration journey that artists like to talk about. Just never really worked for me, but now it's like as we're doing things, we're discovering new ways of doing it. This looks like a nose on mine. It should probably be lower too. Let me push this down. Oh, those glasses are not part of the stuffed animal. I'm just gonna ignore that. Oh, did it come with? It doesn't look like it's the original though, so I don't think it is. Also, I need her original. What's her name again? Right here. Actually, honestly, Silverwolf was what Faye was gonna be. She was the original inspiration for her. And then at some point, we kind of deviated pretty far, I think. No, I'm not even sure if it's the same. If there's any similarities necessarily. So her hair is more like a ponytail, and then the front is kind of like that. I kind of want to take over the design here because I think it'd be nicer to keep things consistent across the four of them. Let me put Texas in real quick. Texas is missing her face. Alright, I'm gonna split them. I'm gonna force the... I'm gonna make them all the same. I'm gonna take over here. Take over here. Over manual control over this one. Press the line. Main one. Main one. Today feels more like a stream rather than like an artwork day, I feel like. Like in terms of my mentality and my the way I feel about progress and whatnot. It feels more relaxed. Wait a second, isn't it biased? It's not biased? It's not, huh? I should bias this out then, actually. So hollow gets a bit more. Indeed. I'll never have to draw male characters. I hope. I'm gonna give her glasses. Color-wise, I think I'll just treat this as like cloth, maybe. Or maybe we can make it an actual set of glasses, maybe. Depending on how complex the colors get later. Shit, it doesn't really fit. Locked it. She's gonna be partially off screen, so I'm going to take her on a separate layer. So this can be dealt with a little bit more cleanly. Locked it. I was hoping there'll be a bit more variety, I think, on the shelves and on here, but I think this would be fine. Actually, there end up not being that many furry stuff. It's mostly just one MLP here, one pony here, one Pokemon here, and then like these guys over here. Oh, actually, that's interesting. Given my current limited knowledge here, I believe that would be the case. Yeah, I think animating this requires like really separating the layers out. So like basically my entire workflow throughout my entire life is the most suited for this. One color, one layer, or rather one shape, one layer. But then because of a recent experiment, not experiment, but I guess experience with the two rendered pieces here, right? The sort of usage of textures and stuff, I'm a little bit more clear on like the sort of mentally separating between specific types of textures. We can maybe still get a little bit more sort of painterly style, keeping the textures and complexity, but still have them on different layers because we'd be using the binary setup that we were talking about like last week. And then from there, with the different layers, it should enable us to then therefore create sort of animation with those separate layers a little bit easier. Well, a little bit easier, more like it made it possible to do at all. Right. But that thing aside, I'm looking at this right now. There's a lot of dense. This is very information dense at the top here. Even if we do clean it up, this needs to be handled a little bit better. I think during rendering, it cannot be this dense because it's doesn't feel very good in terms of balance. This part I think is kind of okay because even though it's kind of like there's a lot of things, they're kind of laid out in a very organized way. So even though there's information there, it doesn't feel as dense as this, which is just random shapes thrown together in a very specific corner. The upside is that this is the only light source, right? And with the angle that this is at, the only part that is catching light will be this external area here. So I'm not expecting this to be very bright in this area. Let me see. So the light is going to come here. It's going to catch on these guys' head a little bit, and then it will get progressively less because they block each other, right? There'll be light around this area. There'll be light on her legs, on her front side of her hair. The wings actually might get in the way. I might have to push this under the table or something. This part catches a bit of light. The ball gun catches a bit of light. The seat here. Oh, the seat here will be kind of nice because the seat here and here will kind of frame her, hopefully. And what else? Everybody else, all the detail areas are kind of out of the way, right? They're behind the screen, they're on top. So they'll be catching with the reflected light, so they'll be naturally quite a lot darker. That will be fine. Yeah, I didn't realize how dense it's gonna end up. It also feels really weird because it doesn't... You can't really know what this is. It's very hard to tell what this is. I didn't want to block the Imperial logo here, but I'm wondering if I should capture a little bit more here. So I'm wondering how important this is. So actually, no, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not too bad because it's precisely because of why it's an annoying thing is that it's in a corner. But because it's in a corner, so it's bad because it's in a corner and it's too detailed because it draws attention away. But it's also good because it is in the corner. I can just freaking delete it and replace it with a poster on the wall. So we can swap it out anytime we want. It's not a problem. So that's nice. No worries. Everything's under control. The control of God, that is. I'm not in control. Holy shit. Targeting one. Oh, that's my main, bro. There you go. There. Viable? Viable. So with the PRX experience with the texture, at least I know that this kind of texture looks nice. We have one brush that I would like to use. Moving forwards, we would need to start to borrow some ideas from other artists. So I'm seeing like static, I'm seeing some of these techniques being used to sort of break up some of the shapes. I don't know if we would do something like this necessarily. But stuff like this kind of noise in areas that we can afford to, for example, like some of the empty spaces here, I would try to do it. That's number one. Number two, I think the hair might try more scratching up stuff like this. This looks interesting. The red lines only exist in like a specific part of it. There's more textures too. Man, this is so tight. Manage chaos is a color, but all of them are distinguished from each other without being too eye-catchy, right? I suppose that is true. Part of me feels like it's still a little empty. Because in my notes here, I also wrote down that I wanted like at least more cables. Like more cables over here, more wires. There's one more thing I would like to add, is that Suicide hotline idea? Where'd it go? Oh, damn it. Ah, here. So we have Nixie tubes. Oh, we have the pen. Let me think about this one. These color pencils, they're specifically, I think, used for fabric because of her design work. Let me think. I'm trying to put something that would hint at her work with stuffed animals here. I don't really have space. Sorry, what am I talking about? Space, you just make space, broski. Wait a second. What? Oh. This is one of those cable binder thingies. I don't know how to execute this idea just yet. I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, indeed. I think it depends. I think it depends. I wouldn't feel like it would have that big of a sway, personally. I think to some extent, it's like the moment you add the item in, you're kind of very focused on the item. But then if you still kind of zoom out and take a look at everything as a whole, I think the impact of one new item probably wouldn't be that important. Because like one half-eaten snack here is not really that different from like having an empty burger box here, and not too different from having these guys here. Having like a one bullet, I don't think would necessarily affect too much of the because there's also a gun here anyways. I do want to add like the sewing stuff though. I want to add like a maybe like a sewing kit looking thing. Hello, Jeremy. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Anyone on Twitch, by the way? I see someone wrote something. I can't even see what that says. Oh, Dubey. He ain't gonna read this. Wow, I read it. Interesting, very interesting. Means the request on the sequence actually has to be rejected on that basis. I think it's, yeah, well, I mean, eventually. Somehow, Jeremy, are you okay? No, the sewing kit is really just for her design. That's why I kind of want to make it clear that she does like try to make her own plushies. Another idea is that there will be like a half-completed stuffed animal of Rhea over here. But I'm worried that it will look a lot more like a voodoo doll than like an actual stuffed animal project. You know what I mean? Like, because if I have her kind of sitting on here, and then have like a broken arm or something, and then that's like a needle and thread kind of like incomplete. Like maybe that's like a needle here, and there's like a thread that kind of goes in. I'm worried that it will look a little bit more... it'll be interpreted in a different way that I would like it to be. That's why if there's more distinct stuff like research. So I never mentioned this on stream, but I can use the sewing machine. Because I did some sewing in the past as well. I did a lot of stupid shit. But anyways. So if you're doing clothing and stuff like that, you have patterns, right, that you cut out. But like you can draw like maybe a piece of thing, but I don't know why it would be here necessarily. And then you can have all the markings and stuff. You have the thread allowance here on the side. You have the darts sometimes, depending on how curved you want to make this thing in 3D space and stuff like that. But it's just weird to have a singular piece here without too much context, without more stuff around. But I think for her having like a sewing kit just on hand here kind of makes sense given the number of stuffed animals here. So how I would always keep it is that you kind of just like this is like the thread thingy, right? And the needle is kind of shoved in under some of the threads, but then you will leave like a little bit here for you to pull out, or sometimes you have like a little bit left over of thread from before. You kind of just come here and then you wrap it around the entire thing. But it's kind of hard to draw and make it really clear, I think. But we need to bump the rest of this canvas up actually. 3,000 here is no longer enough. You need to double it at least, I think. There's way too many tiny things. We're not going to be able to draw stuff properly if, at this rate. This is so out of place. This is just kind of there. But it's also kind of how it was going to be, right? She's just going to throw stuff around. Oh, I have the pencil here. Lamau? Okay, then I don't have to do anything, I suppose. This is kind of very subtle, because like if you know what the thing is for, and then you look at all the stuff animal, look at the thread, maybe you can extrapolate that she does some work of her own as well. Because it's a very decently specialized piece of equipment. I remember using it as a kid, not necessarily for that though. It's just because I guess it's easier than having a bunch of kids learn how to freaking use the sharpener. I don't really know. I don't see why that would be that hard. But kind of almost done with the initial layout. Okay, it sounds kind of insane to say that this is initial. Oh, I need this thing. Wow, if you search suicide hotline in Google, it immediately tells you the number and asks for your location. God damn, bro. $988 seems to be the Canadian number though. Like what about if it's like a different country? Do they have a different number? Surely they have a different number. I don't want to geolocate her specific to Canada though, if I put in 988 like this. But if you put in the number directly instead, it also is more of a subtle thing. I don't have a better way, because using a number inherently means that it's geolocated to somewhere else, and it has to be recognizable, because otherwise it doesn't serve its purpose. But on the other hand, you would be writing out the word suicide hotline, or suicide prevention, or suicide help, and then you can... But then that would be really on the nose as well. Not to mention I have to put text. I don't really want to put text too much on the table. Like over here. Oh man, my music is so fire right now. Holy shit. What the hell is this? Oh, I know what it is. Try to be sneaky about it. I'll just use that as a placeholder for a square. I think I'm gonna redo the design. Maybe? Or maybe this is fine here. Yeah, wait, you called made instead of that? Well, I'm not sure what made refers to. Because I hate myself, I'm still trying to find more stuff to put in here. I am looking at the spaces that I can still fill up. But at some point, you do have to be aware that it might be too much things. Too much detail here. Oh, is that... MAID? Oh, medical assistance in dying. I didn't know this was an acronym. What the hell is this? Oh, that's the bird. Never mind. That's not really relevant here. Running some ideas, true. Oh yeah, I guess my my Luna is not here. Where'd it go? I kind of have it, so I kind of want to shove it somewhere, but like of course, if it doesn't work out, I'm not gonna do it. But there's really no space for it. Those are some huge ass ears, by the way. Holy shit. If I render some physics, I can shove them in between the two heads. It wouldn't necessarily make it too much noisier. Much noisier, would it? I'll leave it as an idea. Will she draw over the posters? Will she do stupid shit like this? I'm trying to make it more lived in here somehow. Because like interacting with props, it's also kind of interesting. Having it is one thing, interacting and changing it to your own liking is the second thing. It builds on top of that. But if not, like, I think going forwards, what do, right? Well, I mean, for one, we have to up the canvas size. I hope that we don't crash. Let me make a backup of the file real quick. There we go. And then... where is it? Edit. Properties. 2150 4300. That's a 6070. Oh, 6070, 6767. Oh. Wait, actually, isn't there a way to bump? Oh, that was a lag. Hang on, isn't there a way to bump up by percentage? Oh, well, am I misremembering? Or was that Photoshop? I'm hoping like there's a way that it would just bump up together, like all my layers together. Let me look this up. Hang on. Clip Studio, enlarge canvas and contents. Change image resolution. Oh. Oh, what? Does this be here forever? What? Hello? Wow, okay. I didn't know this was a thing. And by doing that, we quadrupled the number of pixels. So, let me see how big the file got. We went from 60 megabytes to 99. Wait, that's barely anything. I guess we're not really at the stage where we have a lot of pixels just yet. Most of it is empty space. Oof. Okay, give me a second. I need to go to the washroom. And then we need to plan this out. Okay. Let me clear the sequence here real quick. So, props, toys, fairy things, broken things. We did not do any broken things. Let me see. So we have anime, we have furry, sure. We have games, sure. Books? Books. Maybe some other time. I don't think we can really fit that many things in here. We can just kind of shove it right up here, but like it feels a little bit random. Yeah, this is mechanically complex. Alright, this is talking about the stuffed animals themselves. I'm gonna ignore that for now. Um, something dark, blue, I remember. Sure, we do have that. Sure. Random cable. Maybe, maybe not. We don't really have to have it. Stickers. Oh, stickers on the gun. That's a good idea. I'm glad I wrote this down. Uh, right, so this idea got tossed out. While she's facing screen. I'm still a little bit reluctant at giving it up. Because it was, I talked about it a lot and I really like the idea. I didn't do it because I want to make it a little bit easier to draw on this side. Because if they all face there, only the first one can see anyways. If we start stacking them out higher, I'm gonna block the words. So like, this seemed like it's more natural to do. That's why we end up doing this. Figure post-its. I mean, post-its, we kind of have it over there. I don't know if I want it here anymore. But like, we can still have this, I think. Maybe a few more post-its here. I'm not sure what to put on it though. Other controllers, mouse, right, hard disk. We do have our game station here. I guess it kind of counts. Computer tools. What was this? Power cord? Power cord? Specifically power? Why specifically power? I think I didn't think about it too much. Sketches of design. Ooh. We end up putting like the Steins Gate Nixie Cube thing there, but oh, you know what? You know what? The post-it notes could be a good way to talk about the sewing stuff because it could be like a to-do list. It'd be like research this, buy a sewing machine, buy an embroidering machine, buy fabric, uh, stuff like that. I think that could be nice. So I want to do the stickers. I want to do the post-its, sketches maybe if I can fit it, but unlikely. And then the last thing that we might put in is some broken things. That would be kind of hard because I don't know what kind of thing because it could literally be anything. This is the main sequence. The secondary for later control is okay. Fine. Cool. Set on the thing. We're gonna go. Going. What kind of stickers would be on here? Let's just find like uh oh, I have some diabolical idea, but they will all make stuff somewhat not safe for work. At this point, do I care? Let me think. Man, I'm so tempted to put old furry memes in there. I only know one though, actually. Wait, hang on. Maybe not. Wait, hang on. Oh yeah, the danger of doing that, I think, is going to bring in some other sort of properties into this. Maybe not. We'll just do some generic, more generic stickers. Not necessarily that generic though. Let me just find some stickers. What do we have here? So, like cute anime stickers. Maybe let's try first. Maple Story stickers, Vocaloid stickers. Octa sticker. Mm, what else is there? What else is there? What else is there? Sticker. Oh, what about cute Space Marine stickers? Are they shit like this? Oh, wait a second, wait a second. You guys seen this? Someone modded Arknight so that you can have Space Marines inside. This is amazing, dude. This is absolutely amazing. I didn't realize I paused the music. Oh, sorry. I don't know if it's playing music or not. Let me just mute it for now. It's so diabolical. Holy shit, this is insane. This is so good, dude. Oh wow, Poggers is actually Poggers, dude. The models are so good too. Space Marine 3. Oh my god. Oh wow, the link is too long. What, the link is too long? No way, there's just a lot of junk in the back. This is great. Um Oh, maybe actually it would be better to go really simple stuff. I wonder. Because it's contrast, right? So I can throw in oh whoops, that's not after that, it doesn't work. Pain. We're gonna redraw some of these I think later on, but for now, this is a good placeholder. Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. What else do we got? Oh, this. Oh my god, this one's the same. Cute stickers. Why not? Oops. Wait, there's an undo button here? Oh no, there's always been one. Never mind. Is this heresy or is this not heresy? I don't know how. Yeah, okay. I don't know if this will fit. I'm just gonna leave it here for now. It's kind of stupid. Yeah, dupe it. Oh, bro. What the hell? How did I do that? Yeah, hello, George. I think the appeal of the stickers is that you can spam it, right? You can spam a whole bunch of it. I just need to find stuff that makes sense. Well, makes sense. I guess makes sense for her to put on, but what was the other idea again? I forgot. Post-its? Right, post-its. No, I need a customizable embroidery machine that allows stuff that... What is its name, bro? $17,000 for an embroidery machine? This requires more verification on this idea first. You know what? I'm gonna ask an expert on this. Let's see. Back. Oh, push. Alright, don't go that way. Thank you, 1700E. MC550E. So NQ, I can push NQ here. We'll push in the secondary. I think it's fine. Hang on. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-digit ID. That is number 1. Right, just a rough idea of what is to come. I think that is good enough. The lines will take over later. That's fine. So post-its are checked. Stickers are roughly in there. We're gonna add more stuff. Okay. Right, there'll be a secondary pass for everything so far has been under rather controlled. I don't think it's 100% necessary. That being said, only broken things is left. So, I mean, to some extent, I guess the game controllers here are kind of like broken things, because the thing about this picture here, this illustration here, is we have Enfield references in here. So, and we have like Steam controller like version 2 and whatnot, which is also not released yet. So a lot of these things point to like basically modern day. And yeah, we are keeping really old sort of game stations here. So this can technically count as broken and old things that she just gets like more sentimental over. Too sentimental over rather, and then she doesn't want to throw them away. So I think this kind of qualifies already. Oh, you know what else I want to add? This useless junk that I got from McDonald's. It's like a Minecraft collaboration McDonald's thing. Right, hang on. Minecraft McDonald's collab. The picture not gonna get any better? No. Okay. Never mind then. Never mind. Carry on, sir. I got the egg, so I'm gonna put the egg here. Oh, actually, I can put it right next to the Tamagotchi. And some of these things you can I could have only done because I'm taking so long, by the way. Like, there's so many ideas that are kind of interlocking, kind of somewhat related, but also not really related, but they just come about because of random ideas like this. Only because of spending this much time on it. Otherwise, there's no way. Now we just have to execute this correctly, and then we win all the marbles. As Jerma would say. This is for all the marbles. Check this, check that. Clear the sequence, clear the lines. Then why? Oh, I don't really know if I wanted to align to the grid like this, but it makes sense to fit it in the corner too. Yeah, that's fine. If I can get away with it, I'm gonna get away with it. I don't want to spend too much time unnecessarily. Okay, I'm gonna know what this is. Actually, why am I even using a picture? I literally have the thing in front of me. Why did I go and find a reference? Bro. It's just a random junk. I don't need this anymore. It is 12:30, so it is basically time to end. But then I think before we end, there is something important here. Because now that the layout is the initial layout is done, I think there needs to be a little bit of a structure going forwards, because our goal here now is a little bit different now, right? It's a bit more involved now. Also, I just realized all my brush sizes feel weird because my res is twice as big as usual. But so our goal here is to render illustration. Cannot spell. Plus AE lighting, animation, plus music, plus interactive, plus potentially Live 2D. Live 2D doesn't necessarily mean we have to use Live 2D, just Live 2D-esque movements. So if we cut this wing out into a separate layer, for example, we can kind of swing it back and forth, but I don't really know if I want to do it, because then ideally the entirety of her should move. If I can get away with moving a little bit, that would be nice, because I kind of want her to stay still. But staying still shows that she's in a trance, so that actually helps a lot. But having a little bit of movement just because she's still breathing, I think would be nice. So that's output number 1, right? So output number 1. And then output number 2 would be recording, I think. I think going forwards, I'm going to try and record a time lapse of what we're about to render here and there. So this has 2 parts. It's a screen, and then there's a time lapse. Lapse. And the idea is that these can be turned into a video at some point. Whether if it's a how-to for what we're about to set out to do, or if it's for our sort of our model video. We don't know yet, but at least we have the footage, and I think now is a good time to capture it because it's an original piece for the most part. And it is the most involved thing that we're about to do, and we're gonna touch on about like a bunch of different other softwares, possibly. So that is the goal here. With the goal in mind here, there are a couple of things that I need to clear. So number 1 is, so to do, number 1, find out how animate so AE or other. If AE options, I'm gonna write as shorthand as I can. So AE within, options within, and then let me see. Sorry. So Live 2D or just AE, and then together we have our layer separation. So while maintaining sort of render quality, i.e. textures specifically that we want to worry about. So this is the path forwards. So I need to explore the technology, understand what is it that we're about to do before we start the rendering process, because then I can make the informed choice as to how we're going to approach it. I think in general, just keeping things on one per layer should be enough. But if I'm a little bit more aware of, for example, the layer modes that are supported and not supported, it might be a little bit easier to work with. Or maybe there's some things that I will only want to do in AE, for example. If there's noise effects, if there's other effects that would be easier to put in AE, I need to be aware of. So that's number one. So number one is basically information. Number two is going to be the actual sort of art, right? So it's just our line, color, render process. Actually, that's kind of it. I just need information before I start. Once we start, it is what it is. We'll find a way to make it work. Oh, actually, that's another part here. I'm a little bit hand waving the presentation part because there's gonna be on the website, right? I don't imagine why there would be an issue on the website, but I think maybe it would be best to sort of figure out. Wait, no, but I can export as a video or I can export as a GIF. Can I export? Does GIF support such a high quality thing? So creation is one thing. Presentation. So potential presentation issues, I think, might be a thing. And then we render. And then we execute. This will be the plan. Oh, broski. Alright, presentation issues I think might have some other stuff involved. For example, specifically, maybe like overlay. Better ways to integrate, perhaps? Okay. I think this is it for now. This will be the plan for this piece going forwards. If we can get this done, it's huge. Man. Let's see how long it will take. We're gonna get it done one way or another then. We need this. So... Ooh. Animation will happen as and when, I guess. It's not too urgent again. The website will happen in parallel. The main website, I think, can be slightly... I should be able to wrap up the rest of the UI design for the mapping thing. I don't think there's too many changes left. The aesthetics of it is not very good, but we also don't care at this point. Yeah, once that's wrapped up, main website will just pen on this. So once that art map thing is decently wrapped up, I will just turn full attention back to this. This is gonna take some work again. We're gonna have to learn After Effects again. Oh my god. But it shouldn't be too hard this time around. But anyways, that's it for the planning, I guess. Thank you guys for joining me for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow, likely, I might have to just explore about After Effects on stream to get the underlying baseline knowledge that we require. But we can always just start drawing, and then I can work on the After Effects ideas on my free time on the weekends and stuff. And then I'll check back in with you guys. But anyways, thanks for coming. Have a good night. See you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.